Jackie, you helping with that tour tomorrow? All right.
Yeah, we can bring them off the parking lot again, just like we poured this board. Make sure everything's straightened up in there, clear
Still
up.
gotta walk, you still have some again to possibly check, you know, that's why.
Push them in a wheelbarrow.
Throw a couple sheets of plywood.
Yeah. How goes it?
All right. Home distilling.
Yeah, I'm getting into it. I'm buying a still, getting my license all figured out, and trying.
Is this to make vodka because you stopped buying the Russian?
No. Just to keep learning some stuff. So by all means, it's live right now, so just so you're aware. But no, I really like artisan stuff, so I figured why not.
Yeah.
Next on call order. Let's see, attendance, all attendees present. Mr. Burkett, would kick us off with the financials?
Sure. My financials that are attached to the, do you want me to bring them up on the screen, anyone, or?
Yeah.
All right, total funds total $19.9 million. This includes $5.7 million of committed funds, $12.5 million of bond money, and $1.7 million in capital reserve. It's important to note that last month the board approved the expenditure of roughly $168,000 from capital reserve. That amount will be reduced as the approved items are acquired. 2021 projects, as you can see here, have about $1.6 million remaining. They comprise of the Eagleville $670,000 and a high school canopy project of $11 million. 2022 projects, we have the Eagleville roofing project of $1.2 million, which, I'm sorry, $1.12 million, sorry. And we have the Skyview Arcole, you'll see that increase to $166,150, also in along with what the board approved last month with regards to the change of the BAS over at Skyview. There's also the district-wide items of about $339,000. Our Hay Construction has a total remaining of $12.3 million. And that gives us a total project cost of $15.5 million, which gives us $4.4 million of cushion if we include the capital reserve, and $2.6 million if we exclude the capital reserve. Any questions?
Of the 12-3 left on Arrowhead, what are some of the bigger ticket items? I would have thought that number would have been slightly smaller since we had all the big fixed items already in. Anything else out there, Lumen, that we haven't?
Site work, terrazzo, elevator, kitchen.
Okay.
They're the big ticket items, flooring
So they're
for
all,
the entire
they're all
school.
gonna add up.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The district-wide on, oh, you have some this year, on the 2022, that's this budget, right?
That's for this year.
And so you still have 339.
About the,
That's where that's targeted.
well, we budget about $360,000. That includes a management company, that includes any legal that we have that's outside the normal legal. That includes any advertising or anything we have to do associated with that. We have not hit the 360, but we've come close. That's pretty much the good number we've used for the last 3 years as a budget.
Drew's question made me think, is demolition one of those big ticket items? And I guess, is that the last thing that happens? Is that the last cost associated?
No.
No,
So there's specific demolition, again, parking lots,
Right, right, the work after the demolition, but that's close to it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
You don't have $1 million for FF&E technology and stuff there, so you have about $1 million there. And it also is a trailer, so I just got the January bills, you have to worry about a month behind on this. When you see it, when we actually get the new ones. Yes.
But there's a forecast for the remaining costs.
Yeah, we have every vendor that's been approved by the board and everything that's coming that we've had to put in there for them.
Do you move on?
Next.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
All right, we got the 2021 capital projects, Eagleville Elementary additions renovations, installed the backwater wood doors into the office spaces, so that has been completed. We're about 95% complete with testing, balance, and commissioning the HVAC systems. So we'll be running through the cooling air conditioning systems now. Terrazzo tile has arrived and is started installing that this evening. So we'll be finishing that up, and Jack has been working with the schedule to get that completed. The punch list right now is approximately 80% complete. So once the punch list is completed, then the architect will go back through, and Jack, myself will go back through and confirm all that's been done. And the contractors are working on the remaining change orders for the project. Any questions? Then we got the high school canopy and pads. Right now we are going to be starting that, June 13th will be the start of that project to finish up the canopy and pads and most of the canopies, and then the completion date should be by July 31st for that project.
I know we've asked this before, but now that we have the dates in place, there's not many camps that use this. I know nobody uses the cement area, but I know there's a few camps that use the turf. I'm assuming they're all aware, and I don't mean preseason, I mean like the little.
No, we will schedule that and work with the camps that are in that area. So mainly be behind commons back there, but that won't impact the fields.
Okay, awesome. No, just see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we move off of the pads and canopies project, as a result of the pads and canopies project, we had specifically out by the entrance to the auditorium at the high school, there was a large, I'm not sure what type of tree, locust tree that had to be removed as a result of putting the pads and the ballards down and so forth. And what we decided at that time was that we would work with teachers and students within the high school to come up with an alternative landscaping solution for that. So next month at the property committee meeting, students, what's called the landscaping committee at the high school. So there'll be several students, a teacher, Dr. Gavin selected here as well, that present what their recommendation is for that. So I've only seen a drawing of it. They're going to come and present to us, this month. But I think it's pretty impressive what I've seen, and I've only seen it in a little. It was an image that I was able to see on the phone, but
How expensive is it?
yeah. Well, I think it's important that they get opportunity to present that, and I think they'll be pleased with. I'm not sure what the cost is. I'm not sure of all the details at this point, but I'd like to move on before the committee, if that's okay.
All right, the Arrowhead construction update, the project date is still currently on schedule for the work that's being performed out there. Right now, Audubon Water, they are working with locating the meter pit, and this is a secondary meter pit for the fire system, and we're looking at locating that meter pit towards the corner of the property near their tanks. And Also, the architect and civil engineers working on the installation of the fire water lines off that meter pit to the school. So there were some changes, because originally there was a single meter pit towards the front, and we're adding this meter pit. And then also, the water line under the main entrance, there has been a design by the civil engineer, and that has been submitted to the Lower Providence Township for approval to move forward with that.
What's your expectation around that? Are they good with bouncing with that?
Yeah, they've been very good working with us and turning things around quickly, yes. We haven't had any issues there.
Are you a go with construction as soon as you get the approval of that?
What's that?
Are you a go with construction as soon as you get the approval?
Yeah.
Like you're ready to rock and roll as soon as you get.
Well, we'll bring it back here, because there is gonna be a change order cost impact to that, so we'll let you know what that is.
Or would that hold up construction?
No.
Rob, can you explain some of the things that, along this process, that the architect is suggesting different alternatives, and how you vetted out the different alternatives to solve this problem with the water, with the entire principle of the water pressure?
Well, it was a.
I guess my question, there's been suggestions that there's other solutions to this problem. Can you talk about how that was vetted through the different ideas?
If you're not sure this evening, what we
Yeah.
can do is work with the KCBA folks and Dane from the
Dane is stumbling.
and get a list of those things together.
Yeah,
and what some of those options.
Let me get back to you on that, because there was some, what the architect had was his thoughts after the, design fire protection people came back with, their thoughts on how to solve the issue with the pump. And then, what was discussed with different types of tanks. Okay, so I can pull that together for you.
But you're saying that Audubon Water is cooperative at this point?
Yes.
So Paul, are you asking retroactively?
No, I think we've talked about the Audubon Water issue, right? And you guys talked about it in previous property meetings, about all the things that went through. I think it's just, it might behoove us to just be clear on how we went through the process, and how different suggestions that have been put out there have been vetted as being not viable or whatever.
Yeah.
So that there's a.
Or what, yeah, that was what made the most sense for, the different type of tanks, the location of the tanks, and the installation of the tanks.
Yeah, we went through the three options on my first property meeting. It was presented, we kind of walked through the different costs, so we decided to pull that somewhere.
Yeah.
But is it more beyond the tank process, or are you talking about all the
Well, I
issues?
probably wasn't here in January, so I probably missed.
Yeah, because we had three major issues, we had water line depth, we had the meter pits, and then we had the fire suppression pieces. While they're all interconnected and working with that, I mean, you want us to get
Yeah, we
some
don't
of
have to do it at the post-mortem on thing. I'm just saying that the KCBA was involved, that we just sort of a little bit of synopsis so that people understand. You know, it's a big chunk, as Andrew pointed out last time. It's a lot of money on a change order, and just needs to be clear, I think. On the way.
So, right, and if we're gonna be brought another change order, although we don't wanna have to hear it all over again, because people do miss bits and pieces, I think that's what you're saying, that this has been discussed numerous times over a long, lengthy period of time, but since we're still not quite finished fixing the issue, mostly out of our hands, and that, I think that's what he's getting at, just that when it comes to time, we're gonna have to kind of reiterate again.
Yeah.
Even though none of us ever want to hear the word water line and water pressure and whatever else again.
Yeah, I mean, the people that are turning in for the first time, and
Yes.
looks like it doesn't get answered. It's
Yes.
Really that, so we
Yes.
should have our
Yes.
standard response that explains it briefly.
Okay, ready for next?
Yeah, maybe you said this, but we're expecting a change order for these 2 or three items here. Are we expecting any additional requests for change orders considering the water? Or we don't have.
The
clarity
change
on that?
order will be for where the pipe and the design for the changes, where the pipe goes underneath the entranceway to protect that pipe.
And is it more of a sequential thing, why we didn't get this change order, the prior change order?
It's a sequential in design. It has to be accepted first by the municipality, and then we can finalize pricing on it. Okay? All right, then we go into the 2022 master plan projects. Eagleville Elementary School, the re-roofing project. We had a pre-construction meeting held on 3/3 at the school, and contractor is in place, and he is ready to start on June 13th with that project. Next.
This expected timeline?
Expected timeline is,
6 weeks. They said worst case, 8 weeks, but 6 weeks. That's a
Yeah.
full tear off and full re-roof.
In both sections.
The whole man, the
Yes,
whole,
sir.
the whole roof.
is being redone. Okay, and then Skyview called the front end replacement, which is, the building automation system, contracts were executed, and, we're working on setting up the pre-construction meeting, which should be held within the next 2 weeks to, discuss that and get that started.
I know we did things the way we did them for a reason, we did only two, and I don't mean only, like, you know, 2 major projects this summer. How are we feeling about the district having, okay, so you've got these 2 projects, which are both around 6 weeks,
Mhm.
right? Cause it's always crunch time in the summer, and then getting finished Arrowhead, and then getting all, because that's all different people, we're still on track. Meaning contractors versus the
Yes.
Methacton people.
Yeah.
We feel good about these 3, Arrowhead, Eagleville, Skyview, plus all the other normal, very busy summer work for your,
Yes.
for your people.
And our people will be very heavily involved with the Arrowhead move outs, pulling stuff out of the building and helping move stuff around the district from that, from the building itself.
It's everybody has different times, right? You got your accountants have the tax time, the maintenance has the summertime too, you know.
Yeah. We're already looking at scheduling
Okay,
June, July, and what our guys are gonna have to do in June, as the building is closed down, where we want to pull out, where we need to move out of it, and be involved with that. As well as being involved with the new commissioning and startup of the new building, which will take some time of our people to get involved and learn the building too, over the summer months as it's being completed.
because we did, and Paul, I'm glad you're here, because my memory serves, I don't have my notebook with me. There was also talk of Boost this summer at Eagleville. I don't think we discussed location.
I didn't.
We
remember.
didn't discuss location, but I'm sure everyone's still aware. I'm sure you all got under control. There's a roof being put on.
Yeah, I'm not sure, the last conversation that, we were thinking about providing supplemental services, with a small contingency of teachers, using some of the ELA and math resources
Yes.
electronically.
Okay,
Yeah,
and,
physically, where-
Yeah.
so, yeah, I apologize,
Yeah,
I couldn't keep
I'm
the
not
summer.
aware of anything in the
Okay,
building
okay.
with
We
that.
haven't used Boost.
Yeah.
Okay, but in a different way,
But yeah, we're gonna provide supplemental, summer extension services.
But not
like
okay.
a Boost program, because Boost, if you remember, that was, what we were teaching currently at that time was reinforcing.
yes, no, you're right, and then the jump start's not happening because school day came back, okay, good, I just couldn't get my summer school hat on.
Of all the current stuff in Arrowhead, do we have it all kind of bag and tag, where is it going? Are we gonna use Audubon as kind of a catch-all, or all the stuff you just said you're gonna have to be moving out from the old Arrowhead, that's not gonna go to the new Arrowhead? Is it at homes, or are we gonna have a dumpster?
Some of it has homes, and the rest will be handled by the demolition team. So they will be removing and disposing of what we don't take prior to them.
So we can't use it for chucking.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that, Mr. Johnson?
That's it.
Transportation?
My favorite subject, transportation. Bus patrol is an update. Current feedback from PennDOT is that they're in the final stages and they're expecting to give a green light in the next couple of weeks to, bus patrol. So right now the problem is they get a license plate, they upload it in a file, and PennDOT needs to send back who the owner is so they can bill the person. Because they don't know who the owner of the car is, they have the license plate. Obviously there's privacy things and, they're not fast at PennDOT or anywhere else with this stuff because it's private. We want to make sure they got it right. Once that's done, bus patrol will be going jurisdiction by jurisdiction, training the police departments on how to handle this stuff, how to work through everything, and getting through the whole ticketing process. Methacton is going to be one of the first groups to go in that group, so we should be going good on that. Something that just came in relatively today. We have the timeline of route deliverables signed off by first student, so that's well ahead, a week ahead of schedule on that. So we're going to be starting on the routing deliverables, and I've already asked for to set up a meeting to say, so what we can do with the first students, we go, what worked, what doesn't work. Example, how do we get in the sky early? Just, we're going to go through those different items and try and figure out what we can do to try and solve problems so we can, anything that created issues for us, so we can avoid them in the future.
So the bus patrol, is it us and a couple other districts waiting on PennDOT? Or is it just us? Are we the canary in the coal mine, the first mover, or are we just part of the?
No, there's several other schools that are already, Springford's already signed their agreements.
But no other school in the Commonwealth is fully going with bus patrol. Okay.
No one is, we can't do, until this transfer goes, they can't do anything.
So we're gonna set the precedent on how future schools go through PennDOT.
If we're first, yes.
What's the timing?
Well, so the file going up is bus patrols. It doesn't matter if it's our schools or something else. It's their file that goes up. They'll break it down to the different schools.
Again. Oh, I see. So it'll all be conglomerated on bus patrols then.
Correct.
And
Yes.
then it would be.
We just happen to be a school that bus patrol is working with the Commonwealth on before.
Okay, so we're first. No, basically, question behind questions. No other school is currently fully operational with bus patrol.
Not in PA.
Okay.
My only transportation question is, how does the school district handle, the, increase in gas prices?
Well, we buy on the futures market, and I locked this into like $2 and something cents, so we're in real good shape on that end.
When's our contract?
June 30th.
Oh, wow.
I'm hoping some resolutions, contracts come out. I'm good. The nice thing is I can wait as long as I want, and I can buy as much as I want. I just get guaranteed to buy 125,000 gallons. So, come June, if we're coming close to the end of what the purchase is, I might buy 40,000 gallons or 30,000 gallons, and wait it out and hope that the prices go down. I gotta look at where it is. I talk to Gary, our trader, regularly when we start getting low. In fact, I think one year on New Year's Eve, I was locking in with him, on a phone call, but he said the prices just dropped. They're very responsive group. So it's really gonna be timing and management of looking at the prices. Right now, someone actually said, I don't think now's a good time to buy it. I said, oh my God, you think? So, believe me, I'm not looking to purchase any gas anytime soon.
So this is
Hopefully
one
this
area, gas is where education actually doesn't always get the raw end of the financial deal.
I could.
Okay.
How much
Yeah.
do we have bill?
Alright.
It could go up to $6.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Hopefully in 6 months, we would have locked in at 425.
Well, I'm pretty much the way I'm looking at it, we're gonna have to make a decision June or July. Because our,
Summer.
you know, I don't wanna keep paying re-hedging costs each month, so I try and work it so we get perfectly right around there. You know, all of this would be the latest I wanna hold our supply to. Obviously, we had a surplus that we readjusted our purchase this year because of COVID, but, you know, right now, we're looking at, we gotta buy 44,000 gallons of, regular fuel, and we gotta buy 125,000 gallons of diesel. And I'm at the mercy of the economy and trying to find a good price and a good time to lock in.
Yeah, but even with all of that, the storm we're in right now, you're still way up on top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, even if you have to pay some sort of hedging fee, when you bake that in to a per gallon, you're
Yeah.
still, I mean, who knows how long this storm's gonna last.
Now,
To Paul's point, we might be kicking ourselves for not buying $4 a gallon, I hope not.
It's a good point.
Yeah, you never know.
that is a possibility.
You give me more futures to buy at 280 right now, all day, every day.
I wish I could go back in time and buy it and resell it to my, other school district.
All right, we,
All right.
thank you guys.
Pretty sure it's a useful idea.
Separate committee. Anything else on transportation?
That's it.
Discussion topic, I see none.
Yeah, just a question, Audubon, how cleaned out is it, Bob? If there was a decision to do something with that building, sell, bulldoze, whatever, are we in a good position now to, that we cleaned out almost most of what is there?
We cleaned out, last year we cleaned out about half of it through, the auction. And we're gonna need to do a second auction to clean out additional stuff that we have there. And, so we have, stuff that we're recycling, metals that we're cleaning out. All the electronics is gone now, so we're able to clean that out. So within a 3-month period, we could hold an auction and clean it.
That include the asbestos remediation, or is that specific?
That would be completely separate depending on this.
That's if there's any disturbance to the building.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the township was only interested in sort of the west side of the building for the most part. The classroom side, they weren't really that interested in it.
We've heard a number of different things. There was a conversation that was what they originally intended, yeah.
So,
Right.
would there be a, we should possibly to keep the class, say we did do something with it. I'm just theoretically to say, if there was an agreement with Lower Providence to do something, would we use the rest of it as storage in the district, or would we hold it?
You could do either one. Obviously, there's,
Do we need it for storage? I guess that's really what my question is.
in my opinion, well, right now, while we're using it, it's because we have it available to us. Otherwise, we would, especially if it has a cost associated with keeping it, it's not like we can cut the heat off from that section of the building. There's some challenges to keeping it long-term, because there'd likely be a cost to us. And if the board was looking to go into the agreement with Lower Providence Township to, remove ourselves of that liability of cost, we might still keep some if we feel it's valuable to us for storage. But as of right now, sometimes we're keeping things that we just happen to have.
Yeah, that's what, I guess what I'm
And
trying
it's
to get
convenient.
at. Do we need the storage, or we just have it because
We're
we
gonna,
have it?
we're gonna need some storage, because we need to keep a certain amount of classroom desks in an inventory.
It doesn't have to be physically there, it could be in.
But it can be,
Other places,
it
but
can be in other places.
Yeah.
That's it.
So if that building was gone tomorrow, that, we would.
You can figure out what to do.
Because remember, that building was operational, and that's not where we stored stuff.
Other than students.
I'm sorry?
Right, other than
Students.
students, yeah. Right, you're right, I know what you mean.
But just from a tax burden standpoint, it would be significant cost to keep the building.
Well, we budget about $200,000 now for utilities and so forth, insurance, et cetera.
So insurance, utilities, general liability, I did get it reduced because of it being vacant, storage. And there's the upkeep of all the fire systems, water, heat. It runs somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 a year for us.
Expensive stuff. Okay. Any other discussion topics? Good. Take time for courtesy of the floor. 3 minutes.
John Andrews, Lower Providence. With regard to the Arrowhead building, is there a possibility that ahead of demolition that there could be an auction of remaining furniture in the building? There might be parents in the district that would, for instance, would buy student desks for their youngsters. With regard to the gasoline and diesel prices, those fuels are produced in the refineries from oil, and for oil the prices currently are in what's called backwardation. So the further out you want to buy oil, the cheaper it gets. It might be $50 for oil, for instance, a year from now. So, I don't know the intricacies of whether if you were to buy the futures on diesel, when do you have to take possession? But so with backwardation, currently, if you want to buy petroleum tomorrow, you pay a lot higher price than if you want to buy it a year and a half away. So, and presumably, if you work with brokers, they can assist you on that. With regard to the new tank being added to the new Arrowhead building, I had heard in previous meetings, I forget exactly when, that there would have to be some work in the water pit, and I guess the water pit is the place where the water company has a meter. Now this evening I hear of a second water pit, so am I correct in thinking that there's a separate water pipe from that water pit intended for the sprinkler system? And does anyone know the diameter of that water pipe?
We're just waiting for your questions to be over and then answer if we
Oh,
can. Sorry.
we'll be
Good.
back.
Yeah,
Okay.
just not, I just did,
Okay.
waiting for you to get your
Yeah.
thoughts out.
Yeah. It seems to me the architect is goofed up, and the plan is to give the architect his percentage on the first two change orders and presumably the third change order. And I don't think the district, if that's the case, I think the district is being mistreated. Perhaps there's another word than mistreated, but it's quite concerning when we have to have $300,000 of extra effort, and we don't hear the whole story in public.
Thank you. Architect doesn't get a markup, Mr. Andrews. Only the prime does. So the architect doesn't have a financial stake in that.
And we did ask that at the last.
Okay, all right.
At the last board meeting.
And the second pit is for fire suppression. So you need two separate systems to
Right.
run water and suppression, so you need them anyway.
Yep.
And the futures, you kind of described futures in it's less expensive in the future when you buy it now, and that's what Mr. Bricker does with his future contracts for all the fuel. And as you said, I don't know if you heard, I don't know if you guys could hear from there, but our future contract is up and good until about June, and that's when Mr. Bricker is gonna see where the numbers look like then. Does that answer your question on that?
Partially, you know that month after month you need, for instance, diesel. So
Correct.
if
Our
you're
future
buying in
contract
June,
is-
you're buying
Our
for.
current contract allows us to buy any gallon of fuel right now for $2.80.
Current contract allows us to buy up to $125,000 of diesel fuel at a pre-agreed upon rate. We have to buy it and use it within a year, or there's hedging funds associated with that. So we'll be looking to buy more fuel sometime between July and August, depending on what we have left at the end of this year.
Right, so our price, quote unquote, is locked in right now with our futures contract. So looking for futures contracts right now in this environment that we're in is crazy. So you're gonna hedge that and look at it later as our future contract starts to expire.
And I didn't hear any mention of the diameter of that second water pipe out to the street.
I think that's what we're waiting for, right? That's what, have a change order.
Right.
Yes, I think that's what we're waiting for. That's why we don't have a change order yet. Correct?
Yeah, we don't have the information.
Yes.
So
Anyone else for public comment?
I'm checking. No comments from the public, outside from here, but, just something, Mr. Andrews brought up that I thought was really, Joe Rittenhouse, Lower Providence. Something I thought was very interesting is when it comes time for the demolition of Arrowhead, he brought up the idea of auctioning off things in the school. I'd also like to just point out, like, maybe there's something for, like, I attended Arrowhead when I was in elementary school. Maybe there's a way, something artistic, something that is reminiscent for the old building coming down. Maybe people can buy, materials or books. I know that there's a school that did something similar where they signed desks. They had the old students who attended come and sign desks, and they made it into some kind of art project that I thought was really neat. So just something to consider if there's an artistic angle from, coming from me. So yeah, that's about it.
Well, seeing none, motion to adjourn.